Hey guys, this is X-Terra here. I've decided to make a video on how I set up my X-Terra 70 and some basic startup tips that'll help you get going right away. Because on eBay or on YouTube, there's not really very many videos in English that show you how to do this. So I'll get back to you and I'll show you how to set the
Alright, I'm going to power on
up.
the detector and show you the settings I use, which are settings I would recommend. Alright, the first thing you want to do is press menu, and you should always keep your threshold pretty low so the deep targets come through better. I chose 8, it works really good. I actually did a test where I put a quarter next to a bunch of nails, and this is the best setting because I could pick up the quarter. The quarter was actually coming through the null tone, so I'd recommend an 8 on the threshold. Tones, I'd go with 4 tones. I like 4 tones because you can distinguish between like a really high tone, which would be like a quarter, a $50, and then the next tone down would be like a penny and a dime. The tone below that is mostly pull tabs, and then the tone below that is just iron and junk. So I'd recommend the 4 tones, but some people really like 2-tone because they say it goes deeper, but I don't really think it does, but you can test that out for yourself. Next one is sensitivity. You should always start up with a low sensitivity like 10 because you're going to have to ground balance, and I recommend ground balancing with a really low sensitivity so you don't get any false readings that might skew the ground balance numbers. So I always start off in a low sensitivity like 10. And then volume. You always want to be in the maximum volume on your detector because I know a lot of you guys have headphones that you can change the volume with, so I'd recommend 30 on the actual detector itself. And noise cancel, I'd start up in 0, but it doesn't really matter what you start up with because you can use the automatic noise cancel button. So I'll get back to you and show you how I set up the detector for a particular area I'm hunting. Alright, the first thing you want to do when you turn on your detector when you're setting up for a new area is go to noise cancel, or actually you want to turn your sensitivity down to 10, like I said in the last part of the video, and then you want to go in all metal mode and make sure you're not over anything. And then you're going to go to menu, noise cancel, and then press mode auto. And just sit there. You can see the bars here loading up. That shows the progress of the noise cancel. It takes a little time, but it's definitely worth it. You pretty much need to do this every new site you go to. Alright, once you hear that tone, it means you're done with the noise cancel. So then press pinpoint detect and go back into the menu. Now go to sensitivity and just make sure you're still in 10. And then click ground balance. You can hear that changing when I move the coil up and down. So what you want to do is press mode auto and then just bob the coil up and down off the ground. And you can see I ground balance at 35, which is a pretty good ground balance in my area. And what you're going to want to do is then turn off automatic or all metal and go back into your menu and crank your sensitivity up until you start getting some false tones like that, and then you want to back off until you don't hear any more falsing. And now you can see I'm pretty stable here. Actually I could probably go down even a couple more just to be safe. Now you can see that the detector's running really smoothly. I got a junk signal right there. And yeah, that's pretty much how I set up my detector and how I recommend you guys should too.